Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Everything Wrong with Major League Soccer in the FM21 beta. Now for this episode, we're going to be going back to the forums. We're going to take a look at another bug that I have reported in the forums. This is a very important bug that we need to take a look at. So without further ado, let's just go straight into the forums and take a look. Okay, as you can see, this is the MLS registration problem. It is the same problem that I pointed out in my video last month, which is teams in MLS, the computer teams specifically, they are not able to properly register their teams, especially if they have a B team. If they have a named B team, not like an affiliate, which a lot of teams just have affiliates, but some of the teams around the leagues have a B team, and if they do, they have serious registration problems to the point where they barely field minimum numbers of players on their entire roster, even though their registration says they have a much higher roster number. So if you look at the example I posted here of the Seattle Sounders, it says they have 24 players registered, which is still a little low, but it's not terrible. But the problem is that if you looked at their roster, they actually only have 14 eligible players on their entire roster. And one of those is on the disabled list. So it's down to 13 actual players who can play for their team, which is a ridiculously low number of players for any major professional soccer team, especially in MLS where there's so much travel, so many games, right next to each other, and, so many problems with injuries and whatnot. It's just too much of a grind. The MLS season is too much of a grind for you to have that few players on your team. It's not great for your organization at all. And definitely, it makes these teams so much weaker to play against. That's the real problem, is that the teams with these rosters, they can still do okay in the league. They can still win games and stuff. But when it comes to actually playing against them as a human player, they're so weak that it makes the league a little bit too easy. So that's the real problem with these rosters, is it just weakens the league and makes them, not much of a competition to play against. And that's no fun. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the challenge. We're here to, play against the best teams we can possibly play against. And, this just doesn't cut it. So I've reported this, and in the comments, there were several other commenters, several other posters on the forum who jumped on and were like, yeah, this is a problem. They were quote tweeting. They were, well, not quote tweeting, but they were quoting and making posts of their own saying, yeah, I found the same thing, and this is what I found. And, really, I think the MLS community on FM is really getting behind this and understanding that this is a real problem. So I'm going to go into my Nashville save now, and I'm going to show you sort of the ramifications of these rosters and what it looks like to play against these kind of rosters. So we're going to pause it here and then come right back. Okay, we're back. Here we are with the MLS standings in the year 2022. So this is the second season. If you didn't hear the news or didn't realize, what Sports Interactive said is that they're going to start the MLS proper in 2021. So anytime you boot up a brand new MLS save, if you don't mess with the dates at all, it's going to start you in 2021, because basically, if you followed MLS, you know that 2020 has been sort of a weird year, of course, with coronavirus and all that stuff sort of making madness out of the schedule. We had that whole MLS is back tournament, and now we've got sort of half a season going on, and now the playoffs are starting next week, actually. So Sports Interactive just looked at that mess, and we're like, we're not even going to deal with that. We're just going to start in 2021, give everyone a regular season, as good as we can simulate what a normal MLS season would be. That's what we're going to do starting in 2021. So that's that's what I experienced with this save. I started in 2021. I did a whole year. I basically, simulated the entire season. And then I got to 2022. And I just sort of kind of threw together a roster, if I'm honest with you. I really looked around, just found some guys I could get on the free, guys I could get through the waiver draft. And I put together a pretty decent team, but nothing that I was like, oh man, this is a championship caliber team. This is like an amazing team. But we won the championship anyway, even though I played about the first 10 games with this team, and then I simulated the rest of the season, and we just came out on top with flying colors, as you can see here. 69 points on the season, 22 wins. I guess we now have 24 because we've won 2 in the playoffs. And if we win the MLS Cup, as you can see here, we are in MLS Cup versus Chicago. If we win this game, we'll set the record in MLS for most number of wins in a season. And that's the problem with these depleted rosters, is that they just can't compete with a human-created team. It's just too easy. The example that we used, of course, in the forums was Seattle Sounders. So let's take a look at Seattle. Now, Seattle did fine in the league. They actually made the playoffs. So, it's didn't really affect them as much as you think it would with such a depleted roster. But playing against other computer teams isn't quite the same as playing against a human team. However, if you take a look at their registration, they still says they've got 24 players. Now, they did manage to add one more guy during the season. So if you counted these out, I believe there's 15 players on their roster. So, okay, yay, they were able to add one more player. But you can see they've got tons of salary cap available. They've got tons of spots available, even with the 10 missing players who are, out in their B team. They still didn't add enough players. I mean, you look, they've got 3 injuries, so it's no wonder they weren't able to make it through the playoffs, especially with Jordan Morris injured, So they've got a decent team, a talented team. They just have no depth, and the AI needs to be able to do something to add to the team's depth, and it's just, this isn't cutting it, unfortunately. So that's where we stand. It's the same as last year, and it's very, very disappointing. Now, the other thing I did want to mention, there's one more tiny little bug. I want to show you something that I've just noticed. I haven't posted this in the forums yet, but here's our formation, the Z formation. And I will say that the Z formation does work again this year. The attacking, high-pressing style, it still works. I was able to steamroll the league using this formation. But if you notice here in the center, we got a little problem. We got a line that don't match up. The defensive midfielder and the midfielder, they have a partnership, but it's a partnership going nowhere, apparently. Okello is having a love affair with a blank square. Take a look. If we move him down, then the line matches up. But if we move him back up to his regular position, no good. I don't think that happens to the other positions. Let's see if we move him down. See, the arrows, pretty much stay with the guy pretty well. Let's see, Pozuelo, can we move him over here? Maybe. There we go. Yeah, see, the line stays, so no problems there. But yeah, just a minor little bug. Thought I'd point that out. Okay, that's it for this episode of Everything Wrong with Major League Soccer. Now I'm going to get back into the beta, take a look at the academies. So until then, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.